Have you ever wondered if some of the things you're doing might be quietly pushing people away, but no one dares to tell you? As we age, we pick up habits. Some are wise, others, not so much. The people around you notice, but they often say nothing. Instead, they start to withdraw a shorter call here, a skipped visit there, and you're left wondering why. In this video, we're going to explore 12 habits that many people fall into during their later years behaviors that can erode relationships, reduce social connection, and quietly isolate you from others. And we're not talking about physical appearance. This is deeper about how you show up emotionally, socially, and energetically. But the good news is, every one of these behaviors is fixable. With a bit of awareness and intention, you can rebuild those connections, regain dignity, and carry yourself in a way that commands both love and respect. Stay with me to the end, because understanding these habits could completely shift the way others relate to you and the way you feel about yourself. Habit 1. Neglecting personal hygiene. It often starts small. Maybe you skip shaving one day, or your clothes don't quite match. You stop noticing your fingernails, your hair gets a little too long, and gradually, the care you once gave to your appearance begins to fade. Now, let's be clear. This isn't about vanity. It's about vitality. Hygiene sends a powerful message, not just to others, but to yourself. When you stop tending to your appearance, people sense it. They may not say anything, but their behavior changes. They lean away, visit less often, feel less warmth. And it's not just about scent or clean clothes, it's about what those things signal. Cleanliness and grooming show the world, I still care, I still matter. Neglecting those things quietly suggests the opposite. You don't need to look like you stepped out of a catalog, but a fresh shirt, combed hair, and trimmed nails go a long way in how others perceive and respond to you. If you're losing energy, create routines. Set a hygiene timer. Get help if you need it. But don't let this slide. Because the more you neglect it, the more isolated you become, not because people judge, but because they quietly feel uncomfortable. A good rule of thumb? Dress like someone you'd want to talk to. Because when you take care of yourself, others feel safe and welcomed in your presence. Habit 2. Speaking carelessly. I'm just being honest. If that phrase sounds familiar, it might be time for a little self-reflection. Many older adults develop a habit of speaking bluntly, commenting on someone's appearance, choices, parenting, or life without hesitation. You might think you're helping or just being real, but to others, it often feels like criticism. This habit creates distance. Younger generations especially are more sensitive to tone and intent. They may not confront you, they'll just avoid deeper conversations, or worse, avoid you altogether. Being honest is valuable, but kindness matters more. You can say what needs to be said without being harsh. Ask yourself before you speak, is this kind? Is this helpful? Would I say it to someone I love deeply? If your truth is wrapped in care, people listen. If it's wrapped in bitterness or superiority, they shut down, and you may never know why they stopped calling. Remember, influence isn't about volume or dominance. It's about presence and tone. Your words still carry weight, but how you use them determines whether that weight builds bridges or breaks them. Habit 3. Wearing clothes that don't fit or flatter. There's comfort in familiarity, especially in the clothes we've worn for years. That pair of pants that's been through 3 decades of holidays, or the sweater that always brings a bit of warmth, even when the thermostat is just right. But here's what many don't realize. What once felt timeless can begin to look careless. Ill-fitting clothes too tight at the waist, sagging at the shoulders, or hanging too long quietly signal that you've stopped checking in with your present self. It's not about style, it's about attunement. People unconsciously read your appearance as a reflection of how in touch you are with your current stage of life. And when it looks like you've given up on your wardrobe, some assume you've started giving up in other ways too. That sounds harsh, but people respond to signals they don't even realize they're picking up on. Baggy pants, faded blouses, or outdated shoes don't just age you, they mute your presence. But when you show up in something well-fitted, clean, and even subtly modern, you immediately shift the way others engage with you. It's not about being fashionable. It's about being present. About saying, through your appearance, I still see myself and I want you to see me too. I knew a man named Harold who wore a sharp navy vest every Sunday to the senior center. Not because anyone told him to, but because, as he put it, when I dress like I matter, people treat me like I do. And he was right. People noticed. People listened. He carried himself like someone still writing his story, not someone living in its footnotes. So, here's your mirror moment. Are your clothes honoring who you are now? Not 20 years ago, but today. Because dressing well isn't about impressing others. It's about reminding yourself and the world that you're still here with purpose and pride. Habit 4. Dominating conversations. You've lived a full life. You've seen more than most. And your stories carry value. But as time goes on, that desire to share what you know can slowly cross a line into monologue. You don't mean to dominate conversations. You're just enthusiastic. Someone brings up a problem, and you've lived through it. A grandchild talks about work stress, and you remember what that was like in the 70s. But here's the danger. When every conversation circles back to you, it stops being a dialogue and starts being a broadcast. And slowly, people tune out. I once sat with a woman named Judith, who was 79 and deeply wise, but her daughter confided in me that visits felt like lectures. I love her, she said, but she doesn't ask me how I'm doing. She just tells me how I should be doing it differently. It wasn't meant to hurt, but it did. The truth is, people, especially younger ones, crave connection more than correction. They want to feel heard, not managed. When you speak for long stretches without pausing to listen, it sends a subtle message. My stories matter more than yours. That's never your intention, but it's often the result. So, how do you shift? You ask questions, not just as a formality, but curiously. What's that like for you? How did that feel? Let others unfold, even if you've seen their path before. Give them the dignity of discovery, just as others once gave it to you. And when you do share, do it with brevity and humility. I've been through something similar. Would you like to hear about it? That simple act of asking permission changes everything. It makes people lean in, not pull away. Because the elder who listens is the one who gets listened to, the one who offers guidance gently, who respects the moment as much as the memory. That's the elder who becomes unforgettable. Habit 5. Comparing the past to the present. Back in my day, it's a phrase that often begins with good intentions away, to connect, to reminisce, to offer perspective. But too often, it becomes a barrier, one that divides instead of bridges. When elders compare today to the past in ways that suggest superiority, we worked harder, we had more discipline. Things were simpler then. It can make younger people feel misunderstood, even dismissed. It can sound like their world, with all its modern chaos and challenges, is being judged through a lens that no longer fits. And here's the hard truth. Constant comparison doesn't bring you closer, it creates distance. You see, younger generations are navigating a world that's more complex, more connected, and more uncertain than the one many of us knew. They're not always looking for answers from the past. They're looking for someone who will simply listen without judgment. Think of conversations not as a platform for correction, but as an opportunity for curiosity. Instead of saying, "When I was your age, we didn't have those problems," try asking, "What's it like for you now?" Because when you stop comparing and start inquiring, people open up. They don't just respect your age, they appreciate your openness. There's immense power in being the elder who embraces change, who learns instead of laments, who adapts instead of retreats. That kind of presence makes you magnetic. It shows that wisdom isn't stuck in the past, it's alive and learning, still. I met a grandfather once who would say, "I don't understand all this tech, but I love watching you light up when you explain it to me." That one sentence did more for his relationships than a dozen lectures on how it used to be. So next time you feel the urge to compare the present to your past, pause. Ask yourself, am I building a bridge or a wall? Because your stories are valuable, but your presence, your open, non-judging presence is priceless. Habit 6. Ignoring modern etiquette. You may not notice it, but the world has changed in quiet, social ways. And when you don't adjust, people do notice even if they never say a word. Modern etiquette isn't about being trendy or politically correct. It's about being aware of how your presence affects those around you. And when those small social cues get ignored, they slowly begin to push people away, not because they don't love you, but because they feel uncomfortable and unsure of how to respond. Things like speaking loudly on your phone in public, cutting in line, playing videos without headphones, or commenting too freely in sensitive situations, all of these may have gone unnoticed decades ago. Today, they carry a quiet cost. You might not see the frowns, the exchanged glances, or the people inching away, but they're happening. You might think, that's just how I am. I've earned the right to do as I please. And yes, age brings a certain freedom, but there's a big difference between freedom and disregard. One uplifts, the other isolates. There's also the challenge of technology. Maybe you're new to smartphones, social media, or even just texting. That's okay. But what people admire isn't technical fluency, it's effort. It's saying, show me how this works, instead of brushing it off as nonsense. And here's the part no one tells you. When you make even a small effort to adapt, to stay aware, it earns you quiet admiration. Grandkids notice, neighbors notice. People respond to your willingness to be present in their world, not just your own. A woman I once met, 82, started using video chat to connect with her great-grandkids. She wasn't perfect at it. She once muted herself for a whole call, but they adored her for trying. Because her effort said, I care enough to keep up. Etiquette today is less about manners and more about mindfulness. It's about being considerate in a world that's moving fast. And when you show you're still engaged, still learning, still evolving, you don't just stay relevant, you stay respected. Habit 7. Oversharing medical problems. It starts innocently. You're sitting with a friend or a relative, and someone asks, how have you been? Next thing you know, you're listing out every ache, every pill, every appointment, and all the new side effects. And while it's completely natural to want to talk about what's going on with your health, especially when it feels like it's taking over your life, there's a fine line between sharing and oversharing. Here's what often happens. People ask out of kindness, but when every conversation starts with a rundown of symptoms and ends with updates from your latest doctor's visit, it starts to feel less like a catch-up and more like a clinic. Eventually, people stop asking not because they don't care, but because they're emotionally drained. This isn't about bottling up your struggles. Your pain is real, and it deserves acknowledgement. But when you let health become the centerpiece of every interaction, it slowly replaces the richness of your personality with a medical report. You are more than your blood pressure, more than your arthritis, more than your prescriptions. Think about the people you most enjoy being around. They may mention their struggles, but they don't let those struggles define the moment. They also talk about what's good, what they're learning, reading, watching, or dreaming of. And that's what draws people in. It's the balance. Oversharing about your health can also make younger people uncomfortable, because they're selfish, but because they don't always know how to respond. They feel helpless, even guilty, for not having a solution. So they pull back to avoid that discomfort. So what can you do instead? First, choose your audience. Some friends are great for venting, others are better for escaping your worries. Know the difference. Second, keep it brief unless someone invites you to go deeper. And third, always round off the health talk with something positive, light, or curious. It helps shift the energy and leaves people feeling more connected, not burdened. Your health is part of your story, but it's not your whole identity. Let people see the full, vibrant you. Habit 8. Refusing help out of pride. There's a powerful dignity in independence. For decades, you've taken care of yourself, of others, of entire households. So when someone offers to carry the groceries, grab a chair, or help with the stairs, the instinct is to wave them off. "I'm fine," you say, even when you're not. And at first, that stubbornness feels like strength. But over time, it begins to isolate you. Loved ones stop offering to help, not because they don't care, but because you've trained them not to. There's a cost to pride when it hardens into refusal. People feel shut out. They want to support you, not because they think you're weak, but because they want to feel close to you. Helping is a form of connection, and when you reject that connection again and again, they stop trying. I met a woman named Carol who was 85 and still insisted on shoveling her own walkway, even after 2 falls. Her daughter finally stopped visiting so often, not out of anger, but out of worry. "She won't let me in," she told me, "and I can't keep watching her hurt herself trying to prove a point." This isn't about surrendering your freedom. It's about redefining strength. Because accepting help doesn't make you less capable, it makes you wise enough to conserve your energy for the things that truly matter. Letting someone carry your bag, open your door, or drive you to an appointment says, "I value our relationship more than my ego," and that creates space for deeper trust. It also models something powerful for the younger people in your life, that receiving is part of the human experience, that there's no shame in leaning on others. That aging with grace means knowing when to hold on and when to let someone else take the load for a moment. So, the next time someone offers a hand, take it, smile, say thank you. Not because you couldn't do it yourself, but because letting them in is one of the most human and most beautiful things you can do. Habit 9. Always complaining or being negative. It happens slowly. One day you're just venting about your aching joints. The next, every conversation starts with a list of complaints about your body, your neighbors, the weather, the news, your kids, the government. You're back again. You may not even realize it, but the people around you do. Here's the truth. Negativity is contagious. It fills the air in a room like a fog, and people, especially the ones who love you, can only take so much before they start to avoid the weather entirely. This doesn't mean you have to pretend everything's fine. Life gets harder with age. There's more to grieve, more discomfort to navigate, and fewer outlets to express it. But when complaint becomes your native tongue, it slowly pushes others away. They stop sharing their joys with you. They call less. They visit for shorter periods. They don't do this because they're insensitive. They do it because they're trying to protect their energy. We all know someone like this. Someone who sucks the joy out of the room, even when nothing major is wrong. You ask how they are, and 20 minutes later, you're emotionally drained and unsure what just happened. Don't be that person. Here's the shift. Balance your honesty with hope. If something hurts, say it, but also talk about something that helped. If you're tired of the news, mention a book that gave you peace. If your back hurts, share the one stretch or tea that gave you relief that morning. You don't need to be fake. You need to be whole. Gratitude is not ignoring pain, it's giving your spirit a reason to keep going. Studies have shown that even writing down one thing you're thankful for each day can improve mood, memory, and even immune function. You are still a source of influence in the lives of those around you. Use that influence to inspire, not just to unload. Because when people feel better after talking to you, not worse, they'll keep coming back. And in this stage of life, few things are more precious than the people who stay close. Habit 10. Making jokes that don't age well. You've always had a sense of humor. Maybe it's how you got through tough times, lightened the mood, or broke the ice in awkward situations. But here's the thing, what made people laugh 30 years ago doesn't always land the same today. Some jokes age well, others not so much. You might not mean harm. Maybe it's a playful jab at someone's weight, a harmless comment about race, gender, or how kids today do things. You might laugh thinking, people are too sensitive these days. But what you see as humor, others hear as judgment or even disrespect. It's not about walking on eggshells. It's about being aware of the impact your words have in a world that's grown more diverse, more inclusive, and more attentive to dignity. That shift isn't a threat to free speech, it's an invitation to deeper kindness. I once spoke with a man named Joe, 77, who used to joke about everything. One day, his granddaughter stopped laughing and stopped calling. When he asked her why, she said, "You don't realize how your jokes make me feel small." That hit him hard, but to his credit, he listened. He didn't double down or dismiss her, he adapted. He found new ways to be funny, ways that built connection instead of walls. And guess what? She started calling again. Humor is a gift. But like any gift, it needs to be wrapped thoughtfully. If you've caught someone wincing, going quiet, or changing the subject after you made a joke, it might not be that they can't take it. It might be that your words hurt more than you realized. So ask yourself, is my humor lifting the moment or lowering it? Am I laughing with people or at them? You don't need to be perfect. You just need to care enough to pay attention. Because the elder who can evolve, who can still laugh without punching down, is the one everyone wants at the table. They bring warmth, wisdom, and wit. They make the room feel better just by being in it. And that kind of laughter, that's the kind that lasts. Habit 11, acting helpless when you're not. There's a strange kind of comfort in letting others do things for you. And sometimes, yes, it's necessary. Maybe your knees ache. Maybe your hands aren't as steady as they used to be. Accepting help can be wise. But here's where it gets tricky when you start acting helpless, not out of need, but out of habit. You say, "I can't do that," before even trying. You wait for someone else to get the chair, change the light bulb, or carry your bajivan when you could have managed it with a bit of effort. At first, people are eager to help, but over time, that pattern wears on them. Why? Because people want to feel needed, not just needed to do everything for you. I once met a woman named Claire who lived in an assisted living community. She used to be fiercely independent, but slowly she started asking for help with tasks she could still do. "It's easier," she said. But over time, she noticed something else. The staff started assuming she couldn't do anything, and her sense of control, of confidence, of identity started slipping away. That's the risk. When you act more helpless than you are, people begin to treat you that way. And when they treat you that way, you start believing it. Helplessness can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. It also creates an emotional toll for those around you, especially family members. They start feeling overwhelmed, even resentful, as if you've given up when they're still trying to hold everything together. Here's the truth. Doing what you can, even if it takes longer, even if it's harder, isn't just about staying active. It's about keeping your dignity. So next time you're tempted to say, "I can't," pause. Ask yourself, is that really true? Or have I just stopped trying? Because every time you do something for yourself, no matter how small, you send a message to your body, your mind, and your loved ones. I'm still here. I'm still capable. I'm still fighting. And that kind of quiet strength, it inspires everyone around you. Habit 12, pretending you're always right. One of the great benefits of aging is wisdom. You've seen more, learned more, lived through changes others only read about. But with that wisdom can come a dangerous side effect: the belief that you're always right. It's subtle. Maybe you interrupt people with corrections. Maybe you shut down a conversation with, "That's not how it works." Or, "Trust me, I know." Maybe you dismiss new ideas because they don't match what you've experienced. Over time, this creates tension. People begin to hesitate before talking to you. They feel they can't be themselves. They don't want another debate. They just want to be heard. And what's lost in those moments is connection. You may have the right facts. You may have the better way. But if people feel silenced or dismissed in the process, they won't stick around to learn from you. They'll keep their distance, not because of what you say, but because of how you make them feel. There's a difference between being wise and being rigid. The wisest elders I've met are full of curiosity. They say things like, "That's interesting, tell me more." They ask questions, even when they think they know the answer. And when they disagree, They do it gently, with respect, and with room for conversation, not a verbal shutdown. Being right doesn't build relationships. Being kind does. Think about it. When was the last time someone changed their mind because you corrected them sharply? Probably never. But when you approach someone with empathy, with openness, they remember how safe it felt to talk to you even if you didn't agree. That's the kind of presence that draws people in. So the next time you feel the urge to set the record straight, pause. Ask yourself, do I want to be right, or do I want to be respected? Because in the end, the legacy you leave won't be built on being corrected. It'll be built on how you made others feel. Let your wisdom speak with humility. That's what makes people listen. And that's what makes your voice last far beyond the moment. Final thoughts. You've just taken a deep, honest walk through 12 habits that often go unspoken yet shape the way others see us as we age. And if you're still here, that tells me something important about you. You care. You care enough to look inward, to reflect, and to ask the hard questions that most people avoid. Am I showing up in ways that uplift or isolate? Am I growing or just growing older? The truth is, aging isn't just about the body slowing down. It's about the choices we make every single day that either preserve our dignity or slowly erode it. Habits form quietly, but their impact echoes loudly in the way people respond to us, talk to us, or stop talking altogether. But here's the best part of this entire conversation. It's never too late to shift. Maybe one of these habits hit close to home. Maybe several did. That's not failure. That's awareness. And awareness is the beginning of renewal. You are not stuck in your ways. You are not too far gone. And you are not invisible unless you let yourself become so. You can change the energy in a room just by how you listen. You can earn deeper respect just by adjusting how you speak. You can inspire your family not with your history, but with your humility, your presence, and your willingness to evolve. That's the kind of elder this world needs. So here's your challenge. Choose one habit from this video that made you pause. Write it down. And for the next week, make a conscious effort to improve it. Then come back here and share what changed. Whether it's a better conversation, a warmer hug, or simply feeling more proud of how you carry yourself, those shifts matter. And if this video helped you, please do 3 simple things. Leave a comment below with the number of the habit that hit hardest. Like this video so we know to make more content like this. And subscribe with notifications on so you never miss another message like this one. Because aging with dignity isn't just possible, it's powerful. And it starts with you. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, keep showing up with grace. You've got more to give than you know.